سلام سلام
Allah
كمثل
Most High says in the Quran, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul will, without doubt, fully experience death. We will all die. You will die, I will die, and everyone that we all know will die. But what exactly does it mean to die? What is death? In subsequent episodes of this series, I will relate and explain many other Quranic verses and prophetic hadiths that describe what happens after we die. If Allah Most High gives me life until the next episode, I will, if He wills, explain that further.
عليكم هاي بابنا يا كرام.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallama ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Don't long for death. The purpose of death, as I have explained in previous episodes, is to give our lives meaning, to remind us that every moment of our lives is an opportunity to gain an everlasting pleasure. The purpose of remembering death, in other words, is to help us live. But sometimes, when calamity strikes, instead of remembering death to help him live, someone might remember it out of longing for it, hoping for his life to end. He might imagine that death will give him relief from his suffering by ending his calamity, and because he associates death with relief, he hopes for it to come quickly. Now, he might long for death in this way because he is not a Muslim, and therefore doesn't realize that death may not give him the relief that he is looking for, because death is not annihilation. Death, as I explained in the first episode of this series, is a movement of our souls from one abode into another abode, a return to Allah Most High for judgment, and a final and everlasting settling in one of two eternal abodes, either paradise or the hellfire. That is not something that a non-Muslim knows, and that is why he might long for death. But a Muslim might also long for death, not because he doesn't know that death is a movement of our souls from one abode into another abode, but because the calamity that struck him blew the wind out of him, disoriented him, loomed so large that it made him forget about everything else. And so, instead of remembering death to put his calamity into the right perspective, all he can think of is his calamity, and his constant remembrance of his calamity makes him put his death into the wrong perspective. It makes him imagine that the only important thing is for his calamity to end, and that if he dies, then his calamity will end. He forgets that his death will take him to Allah Most High, and whether or not his calamities will end depend on how he fares when he stands before his Lord for judgment. The Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, anticipated this and left us with guidance to help us reorient ourselves. He said, "Let none of you long for death because of some calamity that befalls him. If he must long for something, then let him say, 'O Allah, make me live as long as life is better for me, and take my soul whenever death is better for me. Allahumma ahyini ma kanat al-hayatu khayran li, wa tawaffani idha kanat al-wafatu khayran li.'" The Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, is reminding us that calamities only strike by the decree of Allah Most High. Calamities don't come out of nowhere, nor do they come from our enemies, nor do they come from earthquakes, tsunamis, or diseases. Calamities come from Allah Most High. There is no calamity at all that strikes you. مَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ, Allah Most High says, except by the command of Allah, إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. And whoever has faith in Allah, He guides his heart. وَمَن يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِي قَلْبَهِ. Whoever has faith that his calamity came from Allah Most High, in other words, Allah guides his heart to patience and helps him accept His decree, surrender himself to his Lord out of loving Him and expecting Him to reward him for his patience after death. A Muslim who longs for death in order to escape from his calamity has not accepted the decree of Allah Most High. He is, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, upset with the decree of Allah Most High. he assumes that the purpose of the calamity was to make him unhappy and miserable, and he therefore becomes unhappy and miserable, and he seeks relief from his suffering by longing for death. The Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, is reminding us that the cause of our suffering is not in fact the calamity, but our attitude to that calamity. And he is helping us find relief from our suffering by telling us to change our attitude to the calamity. In another similar hadith, he said, "Let none of you long for death, nor pray that it come before it actually descends on him, because the great matter is that when he dies, his works come to an end, whereas a believer's life only increases him in good." Pay attention to the end of this hadith. The great matter is that when he dies, his works come to an end, whereas a believer's life only increases him in good. Why does a believer's life only increase him in good? Because, as the Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, explained in another hadith, when a believer meets his calamities with patience and meets his blessings with gratitude, his patience and gratitude, his attitudes to calamities and blessings, in other words, are expressions of his slavehood to Allah Most High that lead to an everlasting and unimaginable increase and bliss in his life after death. Let's listen again to the words of the Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace. "Let none of you," he said, "long for death because of some calamity that befalls him. If he must long for something, then let him say, 'O Allah, make me live as long as life is better for me, and take my soul whenever death is better for me.'" The Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, is guiding us down one of two paths. The first path is submissive patience in the face of calamity. That is what I have just explained. But he is also giving us the option of a second path. He is telling us that if we find ourselves weak and unable to have patience, then we should raise our hands and pray to the one who sent the calamity. We should raise our hands and pray to Allah Most High, "O Allah, make me live as long as life is better for me, and take my soul whenever death is better for me. Allahumma ahyini ma kanat al-hayatu khayran li, wa tawaffani idha kanat al-wafatu khayran li." What a beautiful prayer. The Holy Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, is telling us to go to Allah Most High with our weakness, to acknowledge that we wholeheartedly believe that He was the one who sent the calamity, not some enemy or natural event, and to tell Him that we don't understand why He sent us the calamity, and that we are weak and unable to bear it, and that we are surrendering Him through our weakness, that we are surrendering to Him through our weakness and inability, and that we are consigning our affair to His generosity, asking Him to give us what is best for us. So when calamity strikes, don't magnify your suffering by longing for death. Make your suffering dwindle away, either by looking beyond the calamity into your eternal life after death, or by drowning it in a heartfelt expression of your weakness and inability to your generous Lord, who knows more than you do, and who is keener for your interests even than you are. The purpose of calamities is not for you to suffer, but to remind you that the purpose of your existence is not this life, but your eternal life after death. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
Thank you for listening to this Seekers Hub podcast. To listen to the rest of our shows, please visit seekershub.fm. You can also subscribe to our weekly email newsletter called Compass, where we'll send the best of Seekers Hub's content straight to your inbox every single week. To get on the list, visit seekershub.org/compass. Our goal is to raise $75,000 in monthly donations to build a global Islamic seminary so that dedicated students all over the world can complete their journeys and become Islamic scholars. You can help them by becoming a monthly donor at seekershub.org/donate.